So in the final subtask of the JSON CSV converter project, we are going to be converting from JSON to CSV. Once again, this is pretty similar to our previous subtask, that is CSV to JSON, where we will be calling the functions which we defined in the previous subtask, that is read CSV, write CSV, read JSON, write JSON. So let's look at the objectives for this particular subtask. We need to implement the JSON to CSV function. We should handle the user input. We should remove the white space in the input given by the user. And we have to implement the JSON reading using the read.json function. That is, we get output from read.json as empty, that is the JSON file is empty, then we should handle that error case. Or while writing we get an error, we should handle that error case too. So coming to the code, we're going to import the modules over here. And in the JSON to CSV function, first we're going to ask the user to give input for input JSON file path and output CSV file path. And dot strip over here is going to remove white spaces which might be trailing or leading the input given by the user, thereby normalizing all input received. And over here we're calling the read JSON function, which I've explained in the previous subtask. And we're going to give JSON file which we got as an input from the user, and we're going to pass it to the read JSON function. This is going to return a list of dictionaries where each dictionary is a row. That is, if data exists, that is, if data has some data in it, then we're going to proceed. If data is empty, then we won't be proceeding. And over here we're going to write if write CSV. So if you recall, in write CSV, if we were able to write the CSV file successfully, we would return true. But if you weren't able to, that is, if you got an error, then we would return false. So this if condition will only run if we get true as an output from this function. Then we're going to print out successfully converted JSON file to CSV file. And the F stands for format, which is going to format whatever is present in the curly braces, and it's going to print out the actual value of them, which will be evaluated at runtime. So if you come to the write CSV function, we have some small changes. We have our try block as usual, but over here we have this value called field names, which will be equal to data 0.keys. So what this does is it's basically going to give the column names. As I told, whatever name is required for the header, that will be in data 0 of keys. Because if you recall, in the dictionary, the key will be the column name and the value will be the value for that particular row. So field names will basically have the name of the rows. And after opening the file, in the writer object, you can see over here, we have given one more input called field names. Field names is basically going to be, as I told, the column names. So again, field names equal to field names is basically the column names. And first it's going to print out the field names, after which it's going to print out its values. So let's just run this code once. Let me give JSON to CSV. And let me give input JSON as input.json and output as output.csv. So we got a success message indicating that we have successfully converted it. So even if I give a different output file path, like let's say I give abc.csv, it's going to give us a success message. But then it won't be reflected over here because this is an online IDE. If you run this locally on a laptop, it's going to change and you can try it out. Let me just submit this code once. So we have passed both the test cases. So that was it for our JSON CSV converter project. Here are some improvements you can work on if you want to further work on this project. And this particular project was from our course Python Projects for Beginners, where we have 11 different Python projects from which beginners can get familiar with Python. And if you're watching this on YouTube, maybe head over to CodeChef, try this out, or try other courses which might interest you. And if you're already watching this on CodeChef, great job diving into the solution. Let's move on to the next project. Thank you.